And these people, they are also professionals. They know a lot, they can do a lot, they can achieve a lot. And we talked with the guys, and we think it would be very great if we could have created some kind of employment agency where talented kids would be able to find new jobs, new places to work, and public administration, businesses, enterprises, they could have found some interesting guys who would be enthusiastic. We think it would have been a nice idea to implement. Well, you know, I think it's high time to do something like that, and now we understand that looking at your example and looking at the example of many other guys and girls who participated in this work, it shows that it is in demand. Why? Because how many people we have already, the federal structures, more than 350 people got jobs. So that's a great example of social mobility. Yes, that's something the country needs, and the practice shows that it does work. It yields result. So it trains new personnel, and we need to look at the other areas of this platform, because a lot of talented people are also involved in all kinds of projects. So it's a good suggestion. So it's strange to me why we haven't thought about that before. So thank you. That's something that we will do. Mr. Putin, when 4 years ago at the final of the competition we were told your life will never be the same, I could never think that it will be this different, because back then I had worked for 20 years in international companies, from intern to regional director, so I had it good. But organizers decided to challenge me. I went to the website and it said that prove that you're one of the best managers. So right away I signed up. And I have never thought about public sector before that, but when you're mentored at the head of the Tatarstan Republic, and then you learn how interesting the goals of the public administrations are. For example, let's take education. Now we want to increase the literacy level with the school children, for them to be better, to be smarter, not to follow any swindlers. And when we have all the winners of all the seasons of Literacy of Russia, they started the new project, Learning Expedition. Our team went to the Viluchinsk, the town of the submariners, and we met with the locals. Then we came up with 10 projects. The governor supported them, and then we started working on them. It was summer, it was a heat wave, 6 a.m., and we called to Kamchatka, because when it's 3 p.m. in Moscow, it's midnight in Petropavlovsk-Kamchatsky. And I've been really missing Kamchatka. When you wake up, you look at the window and you can see volcanoes with ice caps. Nothing in Moscow, no view of Moscow could compare to that. So when governor invited me to take care of the education and sport activities, so I didn't have a lot of doubts, and it didn't take a lot of thinking to agree with that. And I think every Russian citizen should travel to Kamchatka to feel this beauty in their heart, and for how fragile the nature is. To understand that, we have already started doing such projects. We have graduate school leavers who traveled there, and we have launched an education exchange program with the Veliki Novgorod town. And I would like to suggest all the winners of the Russia Land of Opportunity winners went to the regions to work on actual goals like we did during our learning expedition, because it will allow them to see the country and to prove themselves. And to some, it could become a chance to change their lives radically. You mean participants of this particular platform? Yes. For example, we have hospitality masters. We are developing tourism in a lot of regions, and I'm confident that such trips will yield a lot to every region who would like to get something from that. Alexei, but that's what we are doing. Yes, we try to do that. Maybe we will hit to this advice from Alexandra, and we will make it more systemic, more large scale, because our participants always tell, we want to help others to achieve something. And you can really feel it. And as you can see, sometimes this help is in demand and is useful, so we need to work on that more systemic. You're talking about tourism in general, or domestic tourism, or you're talking about the participants of the platform. I'm talking about a lot of areas. We have hospitality masters, we have education flagship, we have IT education projects. So along all the areas, we could travel to the regions when they request us, and we can try to resolve certain tasks. And not just as a tourism, but more of a volunteering It's a good idea, but we need to organize it because we have a lot of people, a lot of talented people. So it is a good idea to organize it in such a way so that we could distribute them across the huge country to see what interests them, and then we will get good yields, because if a person does something that they love, that's the most. That's when you can be successful. So let's try to think about it. Let's try to make it work. So you live there now in Kamchatka? Yes, we moved there late December, and that's where we live with daughter now. So what do? I have 3 ministries: art ministry, education ministry, and the sports ministry, and I'm also working on legacy. Such a young woman and already such a big boss. Alexandra has a huge experience of working in a lot of companies. So where did you work before? I worked in 3 companies. The first one was Lufthansa airline, and finally the Lindström Finnish company. So you fell in love with Kamchatka? I did. That's true. That's a very beautiful place. If you haven't been there, do travel. Do go there, because it's really impressive. So I understand how one can fall in love with Kamchatka. It's a unique place, and a lot should be done to develop the infrastructure along the lines that you mentioned. So how's the housing? Is it getting developed? I know that's not your jurisdiction, but what about dilapidated housing there? All the tasks about the infrastructure development, a lot still has to be built. We work closely with Dom.rf, so the governor met this organization. We work on the new neighborhood that we want to build. We need tourist infrastructure as well. So we work with Rostourism to work on the module hotels, and for education too. So we are creating the plan, strategic plan. We are looking forward to see you. We work with Maxim Oreshkin to present it to you, the way we see the development of the city before the 2030. As for the domestic tourism, so a lot of decisions has been already made. The tax subsidies, the VAT tax subsidies starting from July 1st in some businesses in some areas. So it is important for Kamchatka. And the loans, subsidized loans as well for those who build tourism infrastructure, develop tourism infrastructure. So have you already felt that? We see new hotels, new businesses are being launched, but what's more important, the tourism flow has recovered last year, and this year we expect that it will increase even more, because now we have the double cashback program for the Far East, so I think Kamchatka and all other Far Eastern regions will feel it. 20,000 for the Far East and 40,000 for Kamchatka. Okay then, I'm sorry, I would like to go back to Orenburg, if I may. So you work on investments, economy and investments, that's right. So what's the most interesting, what's the most important for Orenburg region? Our enterprises, they are now part of the import substitution. New Silk Road to China will pass through us, so it is important for us to the wealth that we have in the region, oil and gas and more, so we want to see it refined in our region, so we start a lot of projects for the refining oil and gas and so on, and the white clay refinery and so on and so forth. It will create us new jobs, and we'll get higher salaries than just extraction industry. And the most interesting projects are which? So we have a large factory on enriching the white clay milk factory. So these are ongoing projects. Yes, we are launching them. We already start to design to build these sites, these plants. Thank you. We have very young kids among our participants, from 5-year-olds to 90-year-olds. And our largest project is Большая Перемена, Big Break project for school children. Millions of school children, they passed this project. So we have a representative from Sevastopol, Diana. I think Diana could introduce herself. Hello, Mr. Putin. My name is Diana Krasovskaya. I'm 12 years old, so I'm a school grade student, 7th grade student. I'm from Sevastopol. It's a great city, beautiful and comfortable. So I have been living there for most of my life. 8 years ago, with my mom and my brother, I went from my childhood town, from Lugansk, because war started there and it was dangerous to stay there. I wasn't even 5. I was afraid of planes and of explosions, and still I don't like balloons because they pop with a loud noise. And the air raid sirens were scary and people started running. Back then I didn't understand what was happening. I was just scared. I'm writing poems. One of them is about my homeland. If I may, I would like to read it. I was born in the land where the sun is rising, where the grasslands are huge. I am the daughter of Donbass. I am the daughter of the Lugansk soil, of sacred and heroic land. I am Russian, and I'm proud of Russia. And my home is here. My family is here. Sacred Sevastopol is my strength. It is also my homeland that I love. Thank you. Thank you very much for such a great poem. My life has changed in these 8 years. I've been participating in Большая Перемена competition for 2 years. Last year I chose Learning Russia competition. Russia is the incredible country. And before now, I didn't really get a chance to travel across Russia. I think there are some kids who have never been to Sevastopol, and I wanted to tell them about my favorite city, about how I see it with my own eyes as the local. And I made a small film about Sevastopol, and many people really liked it. It was my first victory in Большая Перемена competition. And due to this competition, I made a lot of friends across Russia, from Moscow to Yuzhno-Sahalinsk and Kamchatka. These are really kind, great guys. And when Russia saw refugees from Lugansk and Donetsk regions this spring, I remember how I was small. I knew for sure that they needed our help and our support. That's why myself and guys from Большая Перемена, we launched Helping Hand project across the country. We help children of Donbass to get used to their new classmates. We help them with their education. We collect humanitarian aid for them. We do everything we can to make their stay comfortable. And across the country, we have regional crews of Большая Перемена. The kids talk to each other, and we have become a family. And it would have been so great if we had a one children movement that would have united us even more. Well, first of all, once again, thank you for your poem, beautiful lines. You said that in your life in 8 years, a lot has changed when you left Lugansk. Unfortunately, both in Lugansk and in Lugansk People's Republic, a lot has changed throughout these years to the wars, because all these 8 years, the city, this area was shelled by artillery. It was an area of hostility, and people had it really hard. And the life in Crimea and Sevastopol was different, and it is obvious, but tragedy that has been happening in Donbass and Lugansk People's Republic forced Russia to start this military operation that everyone is well aware of now. And first of all, like I said in the very beginning, the goal of this operation is helping people who live there, our people who live in Donbass, people like you. And we will act consistently, and we will achieve the situation when the life will get normal, go back to normalcy, and will change for the better, like it happened with you in your life when you moved to Sevastopol. And the fact that you organized this campaign, Helping Hand, with your friends, it's great. I would like to thank you for this, because you know better than anyone else how important it is for the children from Donbass, from Lugansk People's Republic, or from Donetsk People's Republic, because that's true. They found themselves in the situation that is very hard. You can't describe it any differently. That's a very dire situation for them. And thank you very much. And I think these guys thank you and their parents thank you, and I would like to thank you on my behalf. That's first. And secondly, as for organizing some children movement, we have a lot of areas. If we talk about the military things, so army has one, but as for all Russian movement, yes, we need to think about it, but we need to make it, we shouldn't make it full of red tape, full of bureaucracy. We don't want it to impose it from the authorities, to make it strict, to make it too organized. So it should come from below, from the people, and the job of the government is to help and to support. So let's look about it in this perspective. Thank you very much. I believe that we will have peace because of Russia. That's how it will be.
Thank you. At the previous meeting, we made a decision to launch a new competition, a competition for students, for university students. Back then, we heard from high schoolers who didn't want to leave the family, our large family, and they wanted to continue, stay part of it. So, Pavel, you have the floor now. Good afternoon, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen. I am a student of the Mayakovsky University, and I participated in the projects of this movement, where I found ways to learn new skills, and using the money I won, using the prize money I won, I was able to build a house for myself. But most importantly, I became a part of the student community. We have over 500,000 students in our movement, and we have many ideas. But I'd like to talk about two of those ideas. One is to create a special space in universities for students, because after classes there isn't always a place for students to start and to continue working or communicating. We have a lot of people coming in, and it's important for every student to know about these places, because in these spaces every student could find out information about other competitions and other activities. Thanks to that space, a student would be able to understand that Russia is indeed a land of opportunities. And our student community and the time when you're a student is a wonderful time. It's fun, but it's financially unstable. And there are many kids who would like to help develop our country. So perhaps volunteering is good, but maybe there could be an additional kind of scholarship for people engaged in scholarship activities. Well, speaking about the first part of your question, or rather your proposal, it's a good thing. And indeed, we should develop the entire system. The livelihoods of students, their activities. It's important for us to develop that in the new university and institutions buildings on campus. There should exist spaces for communication, for activities, for development, for some creative activities maybe. But unfortunately, many of these dormitories or campuses are not designed in a way to house those spaces. Maybe we could do something about that. Maybe we could hear to Mr. Malkov, the minister. Yes, he is online with us. Could you tell us, do you see any way to organize these kind of spaces, not on campuses that are being built right now, but on existing ones? And follow up on what our friend here just explained. Is it possible? Is it manageable? Mr. President, colleagues, this is a good idea indeed, and we support it. I believe it's doable in existing campuses, in existing universities and institutes. Maybe we could find spaces up to 150, 200 or even 500 square meters, and we could help the guides, help the students with designing those spaces, doing the interior design. And in fact, this is a good idea because this would be a place where students could come to receive all the required information for various out-of-class activities, etc. And working with our universities and with our movement, I think we will develop and this idea. Maybe you should use the support of the Ministry of Finance. This is a good idea indeed. The things we're doing on new campuses, of course, it's more difficult to do this on older campuses, but we need to try and strive for that. As for scholarships for socially active people, we've got a number of various scholarships. We've got various upgraded scholarships. And as for the support for socially active and creative people, young people who are finding themselves in this kind of activities, social activities, it's mainly done through grant payments, through one-time payments. Maybe we could develop and work out various other types of help, but we need to first come up with the criteria to see who's eligible for this kind of scholarship or payment. Anyway, we should encourage people who study well and who engage in various additional activities. And of course, it also has to be tied with the financial situation in the family of that student. But supporting financially the students who love doing that, who are talented, who generate ideas, especially those aimed at bringing up people in a patriotic manner, I think we should certainly support that, and we must think about additional ways of supporting people like that. Thank you. Yes, I think since we have our ministers online with us, I'd like to say that we also made the decision to create centers for competence in universities where students can test their skills in different competences. We have 42 centers like that already. Over 100,000 students have already gone through the system. They received feedback, and employers are very positive about that as well. We will continue to develop this area. And now I think we should go to the Samara region. We have entire families participating in our projects, and one of those families, the Skatkov family, is online with us. Mr. President, good afternoon. We're a family that have been with this competition since the very start. Lena and Misha. Misha was a finalist of the last season in the Remembrance track. I chose that because I love my family. It's very interesting to me. I think that every person should know the history of his country. It is believed that this competition is for children, but it's not exactly that. It's not exactly true, because last year we have been to the Crimea and we participated in the Tavrida art competition, and we participated in it together with our children. We spent time with that. It was very good for us, and it's important for our kids to know that they can expect support and they can rely on the grown-ups. So this helped us, our family, become more united. And I would like to use this opportunity to speak on behalf of all parents and propose one thing. Today, a lot is done for children, various projects, activities and competitions. Why not create a family competition where children would participate together or on par with their parents? The entire families could participate there. This would be a great encouragement, a great impetus for people to bring their families closer. That's a great idea. It's not new, frankly, and before we've in various activities. Even back in the Soviet Union, we've had all sorts of activities and competitions that involved entire families. And of course, restarting that idea, reinvigorating it, that would be the right thing to do. The platform itself, Russia, Land of Opportunities, presents a lot of ways for families to be creative along various aspects, various types of art and science, etc. So for every member of the family, you can find some way to get involved, and we could bring this together and engage people in various activities. That's an interesting idea, so I will think about that. Thank you. Thank you for this idea so much. Misha, what exactly do you study? What exactly do you like when you talk about history? I like watching various videos that have to do with Russian history. For example, I just finished a series of videos about the Rurikov family, and now I'm like to watch videos about the Romanovs, like about that specifically. So you haven't still started the Romanov age, you're just doing the Rurikovs. Yes, I just started studying the Romanovs. I see. But in that period, that has to do with Rurik, what do you like the most? What did you find the most exciting or interesting? I liked the Kulikov field battle, and with Rurikov, the way he was summoned, because there are legends. Some say that Rurik was a Slav, and some say that he was of a different ethnicity, that he was a Varyag. Yes, people say many things. Maybe you are right, because if he is, well, an outsider from a Norseman, maybe it wasn't by accident that he came to Novgorod, and it wasn't by accident that he was summoned to Novgorod to rule, to govern, and that actually some of his relatives had to do with the Slavic people, with the Slavic lands, with Novgorod. And this is indeed a very interesting part of our history. I think that you are correct in saying that that the truth is sometimes and almost always in the middle. And the fact that he came with his warriors somewhere from the northern lands, from Scandinavia, it doesn't mean that the Norman theory of the emergence of the Russian state is entirely correct, because he was summoned. Since he was summoned to govern, to rule, there were people who decided to do that. He wasn't a conqueror, he was summoned. So maybe there were quasi-governmental bodies or some proto-government existing there already in the Russian lands. So this is an interesting theory that helps us understand where we came from, how we developed, and based on that, we can build plans for the future. We need to have an awareness of the foundation of the Russian state. That's very important. So thank you so much for what you just said, and I wish you good luck. And I wish luck to your entire family in the future competitions that you are going to get involved in. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes, thank you. Since we talked about history, I think there's no better way of studying history than through traveling and trips. At the previous meeting, at the previous council, one of the winners of the competition made a proposal to establish an entire new branch. It's more than traveling, it's called. And they are doing various trips through historic places, and We've had this young man who's been to the Kamchatka, and he made a movie about it. He could tell us about that. Yes, good afternoon, Mr. President. My name is Murat Kazimov. I'm from Saratov, and I professionally create photo and video content, photographic and video content. I think I'm doing good so far, at least I think it's. And in 2020, I won a competition twice, in 2016, 2017 rather. And at that time, I decided that I wanted to, after finishing university, I would like to do that for a living, to create content, video content and photo content. So back then, when I was a student, this competition allowed me to see what I'm good at, and it's important for me. And soon we'll be marking 30-year anniversary of this competition. Or rather, students' spring will be marking 30 years anniversary, and I would like to invite you there. Yes, thank you. In addition to that, we've got many other interesting projects. For example, I became participant of this program called More Than Traveling. It allows its participants to travel through Russia, and these are indeed unforgettable journeys. I traveled to Kamchatka. We just heard from Alexandra about Kamchatka. She talked about that, and when you come there with a camera, with a video camera, and you're able to film it, it's something else. You see volcanoes, you see bears, you see nerpers, you see all kinds of animals and wonderful landscapes. You could talk about this endlessly because Russia is very beautiful, and I could talk about this for ages. But we create video content about this, and it's important that this program, this project that we have, that it shows what Russia is about, what Russia looks like to all students. And I hope that more students will be able to actually go there, actually travel to those places. I think we need to create opportunities for that. And of course, we need to create more content from using those trips, because Russia is a huge country, and everyone should be able to see those photos, those videos, and make up his mind to go there because it's so beautiful. So let's show Russia's beauties to everyone. Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for your work. As for the trips using our platform, Russia Land of Opportunities, I think it's a kind of encouragement for the winners of various competitions. We're going to continue working with that. Maybe we're going to expand all these projects and opportunities. Like we already said, we're going to continue to develop tourism in Kamchatka. We're going to continue to develop infrastructure there, establish tax benefits, develop all kinds of aspects that have to do with tourism and traveling. And of course, it is always good to have additional resources allocated to that. What exactly are you working on right now? We came from Kamchatka, so we make the video about Kamchatka. After that, I've been to the Kuril Islands. What did you do in Kamchatka? Specifically, what's the products of your work? Well, we've got lots of photos and a video. This is a business, right? Well, yes, this is a business because I do this for a living. So you have a legal education, and it's actually good. It allows you to work in various areas. Yes, indeed, it helped. It is a business to me, but I also like to make content that's beneficial for the development of tourism within Russia. We're doing that, and I have been to 35 or to 40 regions of Russia, but I didn't film, I didn't make videos everywhere, so I'm planning to continue to film wherever I go.
So, okay, you came to Kamchatka, you took some pictures, so you prepared some content. What do you do next? Next, like we were promised, it is going to be in all kind of publications by Rostourism. So you have consumers of your content, of what you do. We've seen some video. Do we have anyone from Rostourism here with us? So let's talk to Dmitry. He will promise that he will take your works and you will earn something. Mr. Chernyshenko, yes, Rostourism is already using on Vkontakte media. Our bloggers are using this content a lot, and Murat is one of our experts, of high-level experts, who are new platforms on YouTube and at Vkontakte. They are becoming more and more popular, and this content is in demand there. As for the program itself, that's true. Last year we have allocated 92 billion and 56,600 people. The most active one was chosen by the platform, and they are going to get really good impressions. And if you instruct us, yes, we will work on that, because we need to know the parameters, because budget will depend on it. How much funding do we need for such trips? And that's really interesting, because it's especially interesting to me, because the money are brought back to the education institutions after that. For example, if people are placed at the dormitories, so we are paying money for these trips to more than 100 cities were in the last program that we had, and they are accommodated in more than 150 dormitories. So this money are brought back to the education system, and our students profit from that in the end, benefit from that in the end. The videos, photos, they are very important to encourage people to travel around the country, to develop this domestic tourism that is being developed very fast. And when people, they can see content like yours, so I would like to get a couple of pictures too. So you want to go where you have been and where you saw the most beautiful parts of all kinds of regions. So you were to the Kuril Islands as well. Yes, on the northern island, Severokurilsky town. So I went there, I spent a week there. So very beautiful place as well. It is different from Central Russia, very beautiful, large scale. Yeah, the nature is different there. I would like to travel there during summer, and I was there during the winter time, so I'm planning. They say that under the sea it's very beautiful around the Kuril Islands. So we didn't see whales, we saw the seal, we saw other animals, and we were really flabbergasted with what we saw. In Kamchatka, I participated in one of the expeditions to study whales. It was very interesting. The sea, the ocean, the sea world is very beautiful. There is still a lot to do on the surface, but underwater is the separate area. The underwater tourism in these regions is something that really should be pursued. Well, there are certain difficulties as well. The world under the sea is not that simple. There are sharks and such. But, well, thank you. Thank you. Yes, our country is beautiful, is great, and a lot of regions are now vying for tourists to come to their regions, to their towns. And during the summer, our Master of Hospitality winners are going to make a festival in Tobolsk. Russia surprises, and I would like to thank the region and Sibur. That was their initiative to hold this festival. Maybe you will have a chance to go and to see it. I know that you visited Tobolsk. They always invite me because the production industry is developing there. Yes, they have very strong production capacities, and we have Ekaterina Lunas from a small town of Gorodets. I think Katya can tell us herself about that. Hello, Mr. President. Yes, Gorodets is a small town in Nizhny Novgorod region, the city of old churches, of old mansions, a lot of traditional crafts and a city of museums. We are trying to preserve this legacy and we are trying to popularize it, and currently we have everything we need to develop domestic tourism. We have new sites being launched, and I have become the winner with one of the projects in the Masters of Hospitality competition. It was new multimedia museum, nothing like museums that we already have. And I would like to say that we had this moment when we had certain questions, and when you implemented the project, yes, and most often these questions had to do with the personnel, because it was hard to find experts to train our own employees. And after the competition, I've got the unique chance, and I'm very grateful for that. So I was trained in the Sanish masterclass on the mastership workshop. So we were working a lot. We were divided into regional teams. It was the great time that I spent there, and I would like to come up with this kind of proposal to organize at the federal level a large-scale educational program, not only for the tourism specialists, but also managers and the business communities and experts of the tourism industry, because that's something we need to develop all together jointly, and we need to develop territories and regions, and it would be my pleasure to be a part of such an educational effort. So you suggest to have this program within some kind of ministry or department? Yes, maybe under the edges of Rostourism. It's hard for me to comment. I think Rostourism is the most natural, the most obvious choice, and to have everything, a comprehensive approach. We pay attention to that because we want to develop domestic tourism. So Mr. Chernyshenko, I think he could add something to that. Yes, that's true. We are going to prepare educational modules together. We are going to work on them, because the infrastructure that we are building, we need to have more personnel trained, more employees who will be working there. So that's something that we will work on. Thank you. In our Sanish workshop, we will be able to train more people with our colleagues from Rostourism. Yes, this will be in demand. That's absolutely true. Mr. President, we said in the beginning about new challenges, that new challenges open new opportunities, and I think we have a lot of opportunities now in creative industries, and I would like to give the floor to the participant of the festival, Tavrida Art, a designer, Inna Korolova. Hello, Mr. President. My name is Inna Korolova. I'm a clothing designer. I love my job. It's a small business that I have, and for 15 years I've been designing clothes for the people. I started from scratch with no investment, and now we create clothes for thousands of people. I have a designing bureau, and we get orders from the largest companies of the country. 2 years ago, I went to Tavrida, I got inspired, and I launched my own brand of clothing. And within a year, it made profit, and more than that, it allowed us to survive during the pandemic. And now people ask us, can we substitute import? Because we are ready to do that. I would really like to see people wearing clothes from the Russian brands, from the Russian designers, to make it prestigious, make it trendy. And I guess that's something that I would like to suggest, that's something that I would like to see. We should make it a brand, a label made in Russia. It should become a sign of high quality, both inside Russia and globally as well. And yes, we need to catch up. We need to do a lot. The materials, training personnel to support the youth. And secondly, I would like to invite you to Tavrida Art to see how many talented youth we have, how many people we have to work with. And thirdly, I would like to present you a jacket that we made at our plant. So that's something that we did with our own hands. Thank you. The job that you do, it has to be successful to substitute the import, because, of course, now we need to pay more attention, we need to take more time, should allocate more time, give more support from the state to direct it at making all the necessary equipment, all the necessary materials, but success still in your field as well is based by the creative ideas. And these creative ideas, they have to do with the culture of the society where all this is happening. What I mean here is that it is not by chance that in some European countries, in France, in Italy, they have those famous fashion houses. Why? Because there they are very creative people. So just think about their art, painting and other arts, because it has to do with the clothing design as well. There is a direct connection. And as for us, in this sense, we still have a huge potential because we have a lot of talented people who were raised and educated, because that's the thing, that people who were raised within our Russian culture, which is the part of the global culture, and one of the most important parts of the global culture. That's what's the most important. That's really deep-rooted, and we need to improve technology and materials. That's right, but once again, I would like to reiterate, we have a lot of talented people. And clothing design. To be honestly, I didn't think like that before, but now I'm confident that that's an art, designing clothes. So, as a joke, we had this quote from Vladimir Lenin that the most important art for us is cinema, and we made this joke that the most important art for us is the cooking, but which is also an art. But it's not as enduring as, for example, landscapes or paintings of other type, or theater, or some other types of art. But still, it is art. And we have plenty of talented people. As for the state support, yes, we are going to do that. I'm not going to give you all types of support for the small and medium-sized businesses, because your enterprise is small and medium-sized business, and we are going to think about it. We are going to come up with these solutions. We are going to develop this. And if someone is withdrawing from our market, obviously this empty space will be filled by someone, and I would like to see our domestic manufacturers and designers to fill this gap. And here is something that I would like to say as well. That's the year of the cultural legacy, and I would really like to see our designers, at least during this year, started to make collections based on our legacy, on our traditions, on our costumes. Because abroad and even for ourselves, it's not interesting when we are copying someone. We need to come up with our own ideas. I agree with you, and people who are involved in your business, so they have a lot of new opportunities, because if market is becoming available, you need to go in there. You talked about cooking, so let's travel to Ufa. Let's talk about import substitution again. In fast food, we have Marat Masudinov, the winner of the Hospitality Masters competition. Hello everyone. 2 years ago, I launched a Bashkir fast food cafe, Albat Halal. I cooked there by myself. I started from scratch. And what's the name once again? I'm sorry. Albat Halal? I thought iPads for free. Wow, nice name, I thought. Great brand. I could really... I'm sorry for making this joke. And because of this competition, so people across Russia learned about us. And this project was one of the most interesting, most promising at the competition back then. So we are making the flatbreads called kostabi that we're using our grandma's recipes, and we are adding new fillings there, new toppings there. And mostly we use locally made produce because it's easier, it's more profitable, and mainly it is tasty. It tastes good, and my dream is for our traditional cuisine be renowned not only in the Ural, but at least across Russia. And now I have already launched one franchise site. We are the best street food of Urals. That's the word that we won. And when the large networks, foreign networks, withdrawing from the market, I can assure you we are not going to allow everyone remain hungry. I'm ready to take this responsibility upon myself. And Mr. President, if you travel to Ufa, visit our cafe. We will prepare the perfect Bashkir fast food for you. Or you can order takeout. Haybat halal, it means it's halal for Muslims, or what does it mean? Haybat halal is translated as things are going well. It's something you say when you are asked, how are you? So I want to make halal as well, but it's in the process, it's pending still. Because it is going to be in demand, I can assure you, 100%. I believe that. Because a lot of Muslims that are going to be interested, and I'm not joking here, it's serious, I'm being absolutely serious. It could be a noble business. And if we talk about the wider context, if we talk about the wider application for your initiatives, I can say that many people, they say that they are withdrawing from our market, but they don't, actually. They aren't. So if they are going to withdraw, then that's true. You will have a lot of opportunities because the market will be more available, and I'm 100% sure that replacing foreign manufacturers, foreign owners, will increase the quality of service for our citizens. I'm 100% sure. Even though a lot of them are using Russian produce, that's true. So we have to give the credit where it's due. Almost 90% of produce they use, the foreign networks, I mean, they use local products. The fast food network owners, they use Russian produce, and that's the right thing to do because the quality is much better than the produce from Europe because they use a lot of chemicals to grow their food. So all our standards are much stricter norms that regulate using all these chemicals. But in any case, we are going to support the development of this industry. Starting from January 1st, I think we already have subsidies, tax benefits, starting from the January, so we cancel the VAT tax. And to look any further we are going to look how we can support these businesses even more, because that's something that is in demand daily by our citizens, by everyone, because everyone wants something to eat every day and not once a day. So your work is very important, of utmost importance. We understand that, especially during the pandemic, a lot of people faced a lot of difficulties. They were in dire straits, we talk economically, and we are going to keep supporting everything that has to do with the food industry. We have ideas, we have proposals, what should be done, and a lot has already been done, and we are going to keep it under control, to monitor the situation, and we will help you, we will support you. Thank you very much. Right. And as for the traditional cuisines of the Russian ethnic groups, that's also part of our culture, these traditional cuisines, because every nation, every ethnic group has these distinguishing features. And in our country, we have such a multitude of various traditions, and it goes for cuisines as well, because it never leaves. It's part of the culture of any nation, like I said, of any ethnic group. It's very interesting and very tasty as well. So I would love to order something from you. Thank you very much. Don't you send it like by mail or something? We don't yet, but maybe we can send something to you. So I will try it for sure. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. President, you said that some people are leaving, but some people are coming in Russia. Not just companies, but individuals as well. And you said that representatives of our 150 countries participated in the international track of the competition, and in the finals that took place late March, just recently, 70 finalists came from all over the world, despite the various logistical difficulties and other obstacles that they had to face in their countries. Now I'd like to give the floor to Mikhail Glinov. Is a German national. He works in China. He is winner of our international track. He works in China. Yes, I have been for a long time. Ni hao. Yes, ni hao. Good afternoon, Mr. President. Indeed, it is an international track that I participated in. I've been tracking this competition for a long time. Then I wanted to participate. Once I did, I found myself in a very competitive environment. Over 10,000 competitors, candidates participated at the same time. I know what a competitive environment is. I've been studying in the Bonn University in Germany, and I studied under a Nobel laureate, Nobel Prize winner in economics, and it was a very competitive environment indeed. As for the competition itself, first there were online stages. After that, finalists came to Moscow. And I came from China, where I had spent a long time. I also had a period when I lived in Japan. But how did you get to Germany then? Well, that was a decision made by my parents. When did that happen? That was back in 1991. I was born in Dnipropetrovsk in the USSR. So then you worked in China and in Japan. For how many years? Yes, first I studied in Germany, then I had a period when I studied in Japan, then I went back to Germany, and then to China. I started working in China back before it was popular, so to speak. And what did you work as in China? Well, I first tried my hand in marketing, then I helped Chinese companies come to Western markets, to Asian markets. Then I started my own business. I worked for a state corporation in the metal industry. So that was a very synergetic result of all of my efforts. Over those years, I saw the development of China, how rapidly it grew and developed. And I saw the attempts by outside forces to thwart that development, to undermine it. And I think that we could draw some parallels with what's happening right now with Russia. We have a lot of Chinese entrepreneurs coming to Russia because Russia is having an independent foreign policy, and I think that my experience would be very much in demand in today's conditions and environment. As for myself, I have been working with various Russian exporters who wanted to come to the Chinese market and sell their goods there. They would like to go there. Are you going to buy Russia's pork? Or other Chinese going to buy Russia's pork? They're going to buy pork. They're going to buy seafood. Well, I'm joking, of course. Well, I think my experience is very much in demand right now because we've got many companies, many individuals who would like to work with China, but they don't know how. Well, the logistical issues are very important, yes, and the legal barriers, yes. Well, as for the language barriers, we've actually been very good at overcoming that, because, but the cultural barriers still remain. And even if we can find a common language, the cultural aspect is something that you have to work through and address it one day at a time, so to speak. And also, in addition to that, I've got some personal experience. I have been working with many people outside of Russia from whom I'm hearing all the time that they want to return to Russia, but there's always this sense of doubt. They're not sure if they could do that. And I want my example to be the encouragement they could see and feel to find the courage to return to Russia. So now you're living here. Yes, I've been back in Russia for 1 month now. And what did you do at the competition? At the Leaders of Russia competition? Yes, the international track. What did you do specifically? What was the object of your the object of your research at the competition? Well, first there were online stages when we were tested for various skills. Then the first stage of the final round was online. We had assessors test us across a lot of various skills and requirements and competences. And then we had the final round, which was very difficult, and for many people it was very difficult to actually physically arrive to Russia and participate, but about 70 people actually came to Russia and participated there. But this, you know that, well, China is Russia's largest economic partner, over $100 billion of trade turnover, and I'm not talking about oil and gas and aviation and machine building, etc. I'm not talking about the nuclear industry. All of those aspects are also developing very rapidly. But small and medium-sized businesses are now currently more actively getting involved in these international ties with China. Do you see that your experience could help there? Yes, I believe that my experience is very relatable, very relevant, and if you give me the green light, I will be able to provide my experience. In addition to that, I'd like to help people across the world, Russians who would like to return to Russia. I'd like to give them this encouragement to return to Russia, to show them that this is things to be proud of, things to strive for. So that's that. Yes, I think I wish you good luck. I think that you're doing a very important thing. I think that you found your calling, and what you're doing right now is coming into the mainstream. Many Russians who are returning to Russia, many are working in the education sphere, in science. Russia needs to create the environment for these people to come back and to be helpful and to explore their possibilities, their opportunities. But every person has to find a niche to work in, and I think that you have found your calling, and on our part we will do everything to support you and people like you. Thank you. Yes, we have not only grown-ups and experienced people engaged in science, but we also have young people. When I talked about science, I also talked about grants and payments helping scientists. Yes, I think it's very important that people, even from the youngest ages, come to science, get engaged in scientific research and new technologies. And we've got Alex from the National Technological Initiative. He is a winner. He knows 10 programming languages. I think he can talk about that himself. Yes, my name is Sasha, or Alex, and I am 11 years old. Since I was very young, I was very interested, very fond of something that children don't usually get interested in. And my main area of work is programming. I know 10 programming languages, and actually I was some years ago I was placed in the Russian I was called the Russia's youngest programmer, but I'm very proud of participating in a project for grown-ups, that when we were studying and creating artificial intelligence, because we know now is the time that even grown-ups and children like computer games. Even probably you like games too. I like playing games and I like making games. I made a few primitive games and some and also an AI for those games, but I'm facing some problems, because I can write code for the game, but I cannot create other aspects of the game, because not I'm the art designer, and maybe I'm too young, or maybe you're too smart. They're afraid of you, so they don't take you in their teams. Well, if we had a project where everyone could participate without any age restrictions, when you could enter it anonymously without specifying your age, and so that we would have experts from the industry serving as mentors there, or maybe even as employers there, so that we would make actual projects there, not just test projects or educational projects. So my idea is to create a development house in-house for developers, for programmers. I think it's a wonderful idea. And in various aspects and various industries, the approach that you talked about is being used. So working in the dark, so to speak, anonymously. For example, wine tasting, etc. And even in other areas, of course, it's a good idea. I think that we should support you. Yes, most importantly, there shouldn't be any age restrictions. But, well, if it's anonymous, there are no restrictions. Okay, it's a deal. We're going to do that. We'll launch this project with Sasha, is a game developer, a soon-to-be game developer. Sasha, actually, when you talk about computer games, are they just educational, or can you learn something through them? Well, mostly I do both kinds. Mostly both kinds. Just recently, I created a game for entertainment. I made a Tetris game and added artificial intelligence to it. Right now, I'm making a game about the periodic table, Mendeleev's periodic table. Well, you should do whatever you like, of course, whatever you enjoy. I think that more educational things are better in demand, because they help develop people, develop their intellect, so everyone could be as smart as you. And they should be educational in terms of, well, history, we just spoke about it, or maybe educational in terms of other areas of activities. So you should think about that. It's not just about spending time for your peers. It should be a tool for development. Yes, I'm just planning to make a game like that, but I have problems that I spoke about. Well, which problems? I mean that I can write code, but I cannot create a good graphics, because I don't have a team, because teams wouldn't take me in. I'm too young for those teams, for older ones. Couldn't you make an anonymous team? Well, unfortunately, we don't have like that right now, something like that right now. If I try to gather a team, they always ask about my age, and then that's where it ends. Yes, we should help you. Yes, it's a deal. We will help you. And good luck. Thank you. I think we're paying a lot of attention. We're emphasizing the IT industry a lot in our country. Creating a community of IT specialists is very important. And one of the specialists, one of the programs that we're implementing in our program is, and we have a representative of this project. His name is Kirill. Yes, good afternoon. Yes, I was really impressed by Sasha. I'd like to invite him on his team right off the bat. So, see, Sasha, dreams are coming true. Just like that. Yes, I think he's got a very interesting, very intriguing idea. This could be the second digital breakthrough, but maybe in a different format. And economically, of course, it's also very interesting because digital entertainment games are very much in demand, even more than music or other areas. Well, maybe that's a little bit troubling that video games are becoming more in demand than music, so music or books, etc. Well, but if we become the leading company in that industry, we could sort of use our own vision, our own narrative, and our own propaganda, so to speak, embedded into this project. So this would be very helpful for the young people. Yes, yes, and so I was a winner of the Digital Breakthrough project, and the team that I participated with were all my students. I teach them programming. We make various commercial projects. There was one interesting project where we created software for medical testing instruments. So we've completed over 13 projects over the past 2 years, and right now I'm an entrepreneur, and at the same time as also an IT director at a company, and I'm also teaching people programming. And just 3 years ago I was just a programmer, and this success that I've seen was mainly thanks to the digital breakthrough, because first I took second place, then I became winner, and that's when I realized that my skills could help society. And that's when I received support from the digital breakthrough community. Over 200,000 people are involved, and there are 250 ambassadors. These are people who have certain competences, certain skills, who you could talk to and consult with. And so this community, and together with this community, we drafted a number of proposals aimed at supporting the IT industry in Russia. Of course, it is already receiving support from the Russian state, but you're talking about tax benefits. Yes, we have got tax benefits. We've got other ways of supporting IT specialists in Russia. It's very timely. It's very important. It's wonderful to see that the Russian government sees the importance of the industry. But I think we shouldn't leave out individual entrepreneurs because they also need to require support. They also require support, and we've got many proposals. We describe them and we pass them on to government officials. I hope that they are being addressed. Yes, of course they will be. It's very important. I wanted to ask you a question, and I think you maybe already answered it, but maybe the answer to this question is in the proposals you provided. But my question is, what should we do to make it comfortable for IT specialists to work in Russia? Is that what you wrote about in your proposals? Yes, there are 7 proposals in total. And together with my colleagues, we drafted those. Yes, I will study those proposals very carefully. And thank you so much for your work. We'll look into it, of course. Our goal is to create as favorable conditions as we can for IT specialists in Russia. Broadly speaking, yes, that's a very good thing, and I'm very happy to hear that. Thank you. So, people were talking about helping others. You thanked the volunteers before. We have people engaged in volunteer activities professionally. I'd like to give the floor to Nastya Mavluk and Mikhail Shevkonin, who have the project called We Are Together.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. I'm representative of the movement We Are Together. I've joined it in March of 2020 when we have just launched the large project to help people who were self-isolated because of the coronavirus infection. And I guess in the very beginning, I couldn't even imagine that after such a brief time, it would become the largest project. More than 7 million people were helped. And our project has become a really federal project. We try to respond to all the challenges in our country. In February, when we faced this tragedy, not a single representative of We Are Together movement did something. So I went to Rostov to help with the medical volunteers, with the other people, to help the people who were evacuated. In 2 months, we managed to launch large-scale activities. We opened a lot of sites to collect humanitarian aid, so we are distributing tons of humanitarian aid to everyone who needs it. And our biggest achievement was that we managed to reach Mariupol among the first to help those who needed our support back then. Now we also help all the territories in Donbass, and we don't stop our activities, not for a minute. In our HQ, we receive a lot of requests from our colleagues, volunteers, and they come to us with various solutions, various proposals. So recently, we got cultural volunteers who came to us running, saying that, we went to one of the sites of the temporary placement, and we saw that there are not enough teachers, not enough educators. So we have launched volunteering headquarters, and we're ready to work with kids for 6 hours a day. And then the other volunteers came. We noticed that in the orphanage in one of the regions, they need a hairdresser. We asked, we tried to find one, and we are ready to help all the temporary places like that. And we get a lot of initiatives that we get from our citizens. Businesses help us with clothing, with backpacks. They are making student suits for school children, for them to their physical education lessons. We get mats from pharmacies, both during the pandemic, and now a lot of people are eager to help. They are eager to help in many ways, not only with money or as volunteers, but to give whichever resources they have. Someone is ready to teach singing, someone is helping around the house, someone is helping with the sporting activities. But not everyone knows what they can do, so we decided to launch a service that will help us automatically to connect all the capabilities that we have and all the requests that we have. Because of this service, that a graduate of an orphanage who wants to learn how to play guitar could find a teacher who will teach him. And this teacher can find a plumber to help him. And this plumber would want to have a free teacher for their children to teach them something. And it will be something like a cycle of good, of kind things. And we plan to launch it in the few next days. And across the country, we are going to have a festival in many cities in Russia, and it will be like focus points of helping each other, of mutual help, and everyone could talk about what they can do, what they need, and they can familiarize themselves with our system, and they can continue helping each other. And today, I would like to thank you to everyone who helps us to do all these good things, because we really felt the support from businesses and from regular citizens. So thank you for being with us. We should be the ones to thank you because you have initiated such a movement. You know, often we speak about our country, about Russia. We say that it's a huge country, beautiful country. It is beautiful because we have such people as you. Thank you. And that's true. I mean volunteers in the widest sense of the word, because the volunteers movement is not that old in our country, but it has become a large-scale movement, and so they are involved with a lot of things. And another uptick in their activity was the pandemic. I heard a lot from Ms. Golikova how volunteers help to medical professionals, how they help people to overcome the difficulties that we all faced. Ms. Golikova, do you want to add anything? Good afternoon, Mr. President, colleagues. Once again, I would like to thank volunteers for these activities, for working with us, for this movement. 11,000 medical volunteers helped us to provide medical care not only in the red zones, but also in green zones. 20,000 volunteers worked at the vaccination points, vaccination sites, and we still continue starting from February. The guys joined all the efforts that they talked about, and they continue doing that. Recently, I met them, and they are telling incredible, sometimes horrible, sometimes very touching stories about the people who have spent 8 years in Lugansk and Donetsk, and how hard was it for them, how hard it was from mental standpoint, and how important it is now for the guys to work with kids and grown-ups alike to bring back childhood and warmth into their lives. And we try to help them in whichever way we can. We work with the Russian youth movement, with the education ministry, healthcare ministry, culture ministry, along these lines, and we try to give these guys everything that we need. We will definitely give them this help, because that's a very important work that they do. Volunteers are following their heart, so they do it without any profit in mind, but we will do everything to help you with your job. And we have a future doctor here, Mikhail, who also has worked as a volunteer. He's also participated in our project, in one of our projects. Yes, I participated in the project. I was born in Lugansk, so back when I was in school, I knew that I was going to become a doctor. Now I'm the 5th-year student, and I hope to become a doctor in Moscow next year. And these humanitarian efforts is something very important to me as well. During the pandemic, I was volunteering, helping doctors in the hospitals. So now I'm working as a nurse. I worked at the Red Zone for a number of months. And the project that I was a part of, it's still young. It was launched in summer of 2021. And I was very glad when I learned that I could go for an internship to the healthcare ministry. The tasks that I fulfill are simple, but they are necessary. I donated blood, then I passed some educational programs. I participated as a volunteer. And I would like to see this kind of volunteering efforts expanded and for doctors as well, so that doctors could acquire new skills and students like me could choose their specialty that they would pursue for the future. I didn't really understand what it has to do with volunteering, because the internship and practical efforts, because in the healthcare ministry we have a system of training and retraining professionals. We have internship, we have workshops. Maybe you could be more exact, more precise about what you mean. For example, in projects like that's a different thing. So we have to have a lot of internship, not only in the health ministry. So, and I would like to see there some encouragement for the good deeds that people do. I think what Mikhail says, we have this project, that's a different thing, and so participants are trying to resolve all kind of tasks, and sometimes so there are some serious tasks, so they resolve all kind of issues. Sometimes they donate blood, so Misha donated blood for the first time because he was involved with this project. And as a words, participants, they get various opportunities, for example, to go for an internship somewhere. And the fact that they find each other, our partners, they find active participants, and those people who do good deeds, they find new opportunities. Yes, that's something that we can do, and we will organize it. I don't think we will have any problems in this regard. We don't have Mr. Murashko, but we have Ms. Golikova here with us, and she hears us. I don't think we will have any problems. That's something that we will do. Thank you. And to have more young people like that, and to keep them, preserve them like that. So it's a merit of teachers, and we have two teachers with us in this room, Elena and Alla. I think let's start with Irina. She's the winner of our teachers competition. So if you could introduce yourself. My name is Irina Stateman, and my unusual name originates from Latvia. I was born in Riga in the family of a Soviet officer, and when we had to make a choice, my dad made the decision to continue to serve in Russia. We moved when I was 1.5 years old, and I always considered myself Russian, and I always thought that my homeland was Russia. And so I dedicated myself to teaching and learning Russian. I'm a teacher, and working in school is something that you have to be getting better and better at. The flagship of education is the first competition for teachers. It showed how important it is to work together for teachers to find various solutions. And there is an example that unites everyone. Russian language, it's not just a school subject, it's the tool for our culture, but sometimes it can become a weapon in the propaganda war. Because the younger generations, so they spend more and more time online, but when they face this strong information flow, they get lost. And we need someone experienced, a teacher, to be next to the children. And the Education Ministry developed a number of lessons on the media literacy, and we had introduced them to all schools of Russia. And these lessons helped not only to start thinking critically, but it also create a certain immunity towards manipulations. That's why I suggest to have such lessons regularly starting from the next September. Do we have Mr. Kravtsov here with us? Mr. Kravtsov. Mr. President, colleagues, good afternoon. The proposal of Irina's is absolutely the right one. That's something that we do, and we have increased this effort starting from the military operation, because the children are now facing a storm of misinformation, a lot of fake news about our country. And we have already introduced history lessons about what is happening in reality. Like you said, Mr. Putin, the goal of the special operation is to help our people to denazify, to demilitarize Donbass. And what Irina is saying, starting from September 1st, to organize such lessons, we already working on that. Yesterday we held a big forum for school children who are interested in history, the strength in the truth. That's how the kids themselves called it, and they talked a lot about it. And starting from September the 1st, on Mondays, we are going to introduce these lessons. We call them conversations about important things, and the kids would be able to talk about important things for them, for the town, for the region, for the country. And starting from September the 1st, we are going to hoist the national flag, and we are going to play the national anthem in the morning. School children also mentioned that. It's very important. We are going to make it happen. We will do everything we can so that our school children knew the truth and could tell the lies from the truth that we all know. The language is part of the nation, is the soul of the nation, and we can't allow it to be used against our people. You're right. Mr. Kravtsov, as for the anthem, for the flag, that's the right things to do, and it will be in demand, but we need to make it done in dignified manner. And if it's not yet possible to do somewhere, we should postpone it. You know what I mean? Because we need the ceremony itself should correspond to the importance of the symbols of our nation. Hello, my name is Alla Volkova. I'm a teacher of the Lipetsk School number 12. For 20 years, I have been a teacher of the computer sciences and physics, and I'm a deputy principal. My history is not original. My parents are teachers, and I'm proud that my dad is still working in one of the schools in Lipetsk. In 2015, I won the competition, the Teacher of the Year in Russia, and I learned how huge our country is. After the competition, I saw how kids were studying in Yamal, in Altai, in Perm, in Vladikavkaz, in Chechnya. But just teaching is not enough. We also need to educate children, and it's great that in a lot of regions of our country we have a new position, a deputy principal on education, and we need such advisors in every school of the Russian Federation, and not to have this project implemented in 10 regions of the Russian Federation, but in all regions of the Russian Federation, because even during these dire times, these mentors have become older comrades to the children, and they help to build a constructive dialogue with the children. And speaking about the competition, because for me, participation in any competition is the anchor point in any teacher's activity, because it helps you understand where you are as the teacher. And last year, we won the Teacher of the Future competition, and this year we face a new challenge. Our city team made it to the semi-final of the competition among the municipalities, and we really would like to see the winners of this competition to be a part of the reserve for the governors and to implement the ideas that we all have participating in these competitions. It could be another social mobility instrument that would help the local governors to find people who really love what they do. Because people who participate in such activities and they are successful in doing that, they deserve being part of implementation of the goals, resolving the tasks that the regions are facing. I agree with you and I support this initiative. I'm going to instruct administrations to work on that. As for the advisors on these theological matters, yes, as an experiment, we have it in the 10 regions of the Russian Federation. And Mr. Kravtsov could correct me if I'm wrong. Next year we are going to cover 39 regions, but you're right, we need to have it all across the country. Mr. President, you're right, and we can see that climate in schools is changing, atmosphere in schools is changing, and the curriculum activities that we have sport teams, we have other clubs, and we need to expand this work. So first we are going to expand it to 35 regions and then all across the regions. But I have to say that it's a very difficult job under current conditions when everyone has access to the internet and when you can immerse yourself to this information field. Like your colleague said, it's very hard to navigate a young person in these information flows, and we need this advisor to be up to these highest standards of the modern conditions, because they should know how to work with younger generation, with school children. They should be more interesting than all these horrible, awful things that one can find online. It's a very difficult job to do, and we need people who would understand the importance, the significance of this work, who would understand how responsible their work is. And we need people who really love their jobs. Otherwise, they will have a hard time, because if they will just do it technically, formally, then they would compromise the very idea of having such advisors. That's something that I would like to tell Mr. Kravtsov and all other colleagues who are involved in this area. They should remember this, because that should not be just a line in the list of the school jobs, you know? That's a special mission that they assume, to raise children, to educate children. It's very important. First of all, it should be happening in the families, but school children spend a lot of time in schools, so they need someone with authority who could interest children in something, and it's a hard thing to do, and I understand that. And it's especially difficult now when everyone has access to the internet, but we can't do without it. We can't just let it go. We need to help younger generation to navigate in this flow of information, to find anchor points to hold on to help choose, to help to